I've had a non-traditional career path. My medical training was in veterinary medicine, and went directly into academic and postdoc and PhD from that at Penn in hematology oncology, where I then joined the faculty for a few years before defecting to industry at SmithKline, where I built a preclinical laboratory group that did all the laboratory testing for the pathology toxicology work. And I was ultimately recruited to Lilly to build a similar group. We had built a group that had specialty laboratories as far as immunology, stem cell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Lilly wanted me to build a similar group. I joined Lilly in '89, and I built such a group over about a 3-year period.
Yeah, so the bioscience boardroom is about having those physicians and veterinarians and those clinicians, academics that have the aha moments, and they go, I can solve this, I know how to do it, but I don't really understand the steps to successfully bring it to market. And this is not, it's not about developing a coaching program, so you can't just write it and then launch it. You've got a lot of steps within any sort of drug development pathway or biologics or devices that you really need to take. And so this space is all about learning from the experts, from people who have been there, done that, and are willing to pass along their wisdom and share with them. And certainly from the clinical research and the partnerships and the FDA and everything that you've done that I've seen on LinkedIn and whatnot, your experience is vast. So I was hoping you'd be able to share some of your expertise and, maybe a couple of fun stories, if you would, about where, what you've done, what your big lessons and aha moments have been in clinical research in particular, but partnerships as well, as you were just talking about, would be great to hear about.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that happened is largely because of the oncology world that I was working in, there was a emerging need for companion diagnostics, and the regulatory science behind that and the process for developing a companion diagnostic in parallel with the candidate drug is, as you know, a challenge. It's becoming more and more routine, although that doesn't say that the sponsors, particularly the smaller biotech type sponsors, would have that informed perspective. And so we would have a lot of interesting discussions of what they had to do to have the appropriate companion diagnostic available when they were going into later phase clinical development. So the whole area of diagnostics in general, and how the regulatory science behind that, although I always insist that I don't regard myself as an expert in the regulatory science, but I have a number of very sharp friends who are. One in particular, Christine Gathers, who was a manager in my group at Lilly, and then went into regulatory and became the go-to person for diagnostics development, in particular companion diagnostics development, has major strong connections at the agency and is very highly respected nationally now. And she and I are close. And so what I've been doing the last couple of years is that I'll bring her in on the regulatory science end of things. So I'm now, one could say, jack of all trades. By the way, I do go by Jack. So that, which makes me perhaps a master of none, whatever.
Gotta love the expressions. So let's take this from the 30,000-foot level just down a couple of notches. You've done a lot in preclinical and clinical research. So people who are interested in thinking about running a trial, thinking about what kind of diagnostics they might need, what kind of questions do they need to ask themselves?
Well, obviously, it's going to be driven by the target and what the objectives of the therapeutic is, and if in fact, as is more and more often the case, all